Welcome to On Writing with Onkarabile Mokoto, the show that is aiming to promote reading and writing in our communities. We seek to restore pride, dignity, and our voices through the power of reading and writing. Ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome Anthea Thyssen today on our show, who is the founder of African Authors Awards, and she's going to share more on what she's doing for Africans. Anthea Thyssen, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I put it right.
Oh, you are so good.
Yes, so good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, the project that you are doing, African Authors Awards, you have honored, in 2020, you honored about 250 authors, if I'm not
This year, 268. Last year was 100.
100. So much for people. Where do you get that inspiration?
I'm an author myself. So in 2015, I launched my own book, and I went through a lot of rejection at the time because publishing houses wanted me to change the book according to what they perceive will sell. So then I started to self-publish my own book. And then that was a time when I realized the many challenges that any author who wants to publish will go through. And I made a decision then in 2017 when I returned to South Africa that I'm going to honor authors, and especially the car boot selling authors, the self-published authors, the ones who carry the books in their backpack bag. And I realized that the most powerful voices is on the ground. And those are the ones who get blocked because publishing houses charge a lot of money. Editing costs money, proofreading, all of these things. But I always say to authors, as long as you can get the basics right by making sure that you get people to review your book, edit it, and as long as you can write in your mother tongue, you cannot go wrong in your mother tongue. And so in 2018, I launched the first African, which is CAN in caps, Authors Awards, and it was basically for authors who had the can mentality and were brave enough to pen their stories. Because I really think that the power of the written word is powerful. It heals, it brings hope, it unites us, And that is how the project was birthed. And I started off with 21 authors in 2018, 44 in 2019. 100 in 2020.
The number keeps on
And
rising.
2021 it was double, 268 authors. And I realized there was a need for authors' voices and for authors' books to be out.
So how do you get them to know so much people? Do you go to
It's
media?
word of mouth. My project for the 4 years have been self-funded, but also it is word of mouth. And for me, it's a testament that there is an alignment going on all around Africa. And people become brave to write their stories, and people begin to feel proud of who they are. Because before, the hunters told our stories. And basically, by allowing others to tell our stories, they took our dignity away from us. But now, as we are writing our own story, we begin to be proud for who we are. We're not embarrassed about our circumstances anymore or where we come from. And so we carry our pain and our stories with pride. And that is where we start to see others who are also doing what we're doing, and we start embracing each other.
Yes.
Because I don't go to media, I didn't go to radio and advertise. It was word of mouth, and I think in lockdown, people had so much time to communicate to people and also to tell them about their books. And I received most of my referrals came through Facebook.
And I mean, you have read all of these books, 268
Yes.
books. You know, I thought I've read a lot of books this year. I've read 33 books in 2021. And when I saw you that you've read 268, I thought I've done well. But
It's beautiful. Within 10 hours, I can screen 3 books. If a book really caught my eye, I will take my time and really attentively read it. But I can screen read because I've been trained to screen read, because I'm an author. And Yes, and it is amazing the stories out there. And what I realize, there's a lot of youngsters that are coming out with their stories. And yes, there's a lot of stories about abuse in our community. And I really feel this is the time for these stories to come out because we need to fix the society. And it's just gender-based violence should just not be about us thinking that it's just women and children that gets abused. No,
So,
men gets abused too.
That is true. Tell me, Anthea, because there is no criteria, many of the awards that we have seen is that you submit your book or your product, then there will be a voting where people vote. Why did you decide that you don't need voting?
No, the African Authors Awards is not a competition. It's not a voting system. How can people vote for your book if they haven't read it? It doesn't make sense. So a voting system allow the people that are running these projects to generate money. And honoring people should not be about money alone because there's no justification. Because if I'm an author and I know 1,000 people, there's going to be 1,000 people voting for me. But now if you have 5,000 people, definitely you're going to win. So the merit of the voting system doesn't justify the exposure for a person's book. And when I decided this, what I'm doing is, I'm just doing something that is very spiritual. It's just honoring people for penning their stories, acknowledging them while they're still alive, and encouraging others to also write their stories.
You spoke about a very important aspect, honor, which our society is not actually taking into consideration. When you talk about the awards, what we think about is money, as you have said, money alone. But you come up and bring something that is not, being promoted in society, honor. How do you actually enlighten, those authors that it's not only about money? They must understand that because when you think about music awards that we see on TV, we know that when someone wins, you get money. So how do you enlighten them and actually show them the importance of honor?
It is still a process. It's very hard for authors to understand that. So I always have to say, no, it's not a competition. There's no prize money. I'm creating a platform for authors to get their books out there. And it's everyone's responsibility to tap into this platform and make it work for them. For example, most authors after the awards, they go into their local newspaper. That is something really big in the villages, in the communities. They begin to receive a different credibility within the community, within their schools, within the university, wherever they found themselves. So it's really a way for them to get exposure, and it does work for a lot of authors.
I agree.
So here I'm saying is, no matter where we come from, we just all need one set off, where we can say, here we are, we have been acknowledged for this. And then it's each author's responsibility, because it's all how they are driven, how passionate they are, and how badly they want their story to go out there. And I've seen authors are growing from strength to strength. And that is what it's all about. It's just not about just selling books. Like we had a conversation earlier on. A book is more than just a story. It's allowing people in a spiritual passage through your life. And for that, you are healing people, you're uniting people, you're encouraging people also to pen their stories. And I'm going to change the rules for next year a little bit, because I'm a very conscious person. And I've decided that I'm going to bring the tree element into the consciousness for authors. So if you're not going to support the consciousness of our environment, then I will not honor you, because books comes from paper comes from trees.
Yes.
We are walking with masks now for nearly 2 years. And we need to start appreciating nature. because that is godliness. We cannot say we know God, but we don't appreciate nature.
Very true.
So we need to be authentic and real in everything that we do. And this will be my message from next year, that I would really like authors to become more conscious and post your book with a plant, so that we can just go back to valuing our environment, because it's very important. And also for me, one thing that I was thinking of this year, our authors begin to put themselves on their book covers, which is beautiful. It's a validation of you acknowledging yourself as being a worthy person. And so I was thinking next year I can maybe do a voting system for the best book cover, because that is how authors will begin to understand, and it will validate them on a different level. And I am thinking of these two elements that I would love to bring into next year's awards.
That is great. Now, tell me about, before I actually ask you about this one, I think I have to mention that I was one of the people who were honored in 2020.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And that really opened doors for me. I mean, I remember, as you have said, I appeared in one of the local newspaper, with my trophy
Oh,
there. It was
beautiful.
wonderful. It was wonderful. So tell me about your vision of 1 million authors that you want to see, actually children authors
Children.
that you want. How are you gonna make sure that you actually reach?
Well, this is my 4th year, and now we are on 463 authors. But when I did my assessment of the demographics and the ratios of the people that have came onto my platform, I was so shocked to realize that the majority was men, then female, and then children. So next year I'm going to focus more on children. So I would love to inspire any author to go to the local school and just get children to write me stories. I think our children will be the next generation who will be free and more honest about telling the truth. Because I want our kids to tell us what are they experiencing now in the 21st century.
Yes.
Our children are more confident than us, and so we will be able to find a lot of truth in their penned stories. So this year I have partnered to build a media network, a Feed a Mind network on the continent. So I'm going to drive my 1 million children authors through my network. So I will be feeding the nations, enlightening them, getting content, creating content for our own people. And so I'm going to put the emphasis on children, because I personally think that children will be the future leaders that will change a lot of things that you and me are still battling to change. And my whole aim is I'm going to target schools next year, get children to write their short stories and publish it in compilations. I would love to have a compilation coming from Soweto, and then we turn it into short stories, because the print books is also expensive. And I believe that I can get 50 children to write their stories, and we put it in a compilation with 15 short stories in a book. I think that it will be cheaper for groups to publish their work together, and it will also be an opportunity for shared wealth to be distributed.
Yes.
So I'm very much into collective effort, collective partnership, because that's the only way how we can really create a ripple effect. But in our own lanes, as one author publishing your own book, we will not be able to have that effect in the industry.
No, that is very true. With this great job that you are doing, Anthea, what will be your message to our fellow authors? Some who still want to write, some have written but they think that this writing is not working. What will be the message to them as we wrap up this conversation?
Do you know, last year I posted on Facebook to say that if you have written a book and you feel that it didn't work, start reaching out to other authors and start co-writing books. This year I had 2 and they call it cross-border publishing, where South Africa was writing books with a person in Botswana, and the author was writing with a book in Zimbabwe. Find alternative ways of how you can spread the pen word by collaborating with others. Because instead of me writing a book on my own, I can just target my community. If I start writing with you, we're going to target 2 communities, 2 platforms. So it's all about finding ways how we can partner with others, write with others, create platforms where you can go and talk collectively together about your books. That is the easiest way, by putting our resources, our connections, our networks together. That is where we can see more fruits if we do it collectively. And that is what I always say to authors. Start involving others. Clone yourself. Get other authors to write too. Because as you said, you can tell people that I have helped you. I did not even realize that I was helping so many authors.
Yes.
But by helping others, multiplying authors, we create a ripple effect. And I urge authors to please continue writing in your mother tongue, because we cannot let our culture and our language go away. But let us just be proud of our language, start writing in your own language, and then we translate to any other language. And that is really what we need to do, because we cannot let our indigenous languages being wiped out on the continent, because it's who we are. It's our African essence. And yes, English is a universal language. Can we start thinking of, looking into Swahili as a language of unity in Africa? But the more we expose others to our languages, the more unity and belonging we will experience in the way forward.
I agree. If people want to get hold of you, maybe they want to know more about the applications for 2021, where can they get hold of you?
What happened is I'm on social media, so my Facebook handle is Anthea Thyssen, and there's the African Honorre Awards Facebook page too. They can just go and look me up on Facebook. I will communicate everything through it. And also they can send me a WhatsApp on 084-602-4439. Please, no phone calls. I will return that WhatsApp message to you. And yes, that is how I've been driving this project, And we also thank the Department of Arts and Culture this year. They have helped us to pay for the trophies. They paid for 218 trophies.
Nice.
And, and the authors that were privileged enough, they have helped sponsored for underprivileged authors trophies to be couriered to them. So basically, I'm serving people, and as I'm serving 21 countries on the continent right now, people begin to see what it is to honor others.
Yes.
We don't necessarily need money. One person knows the other one, and this is how we just build each other. And this is what I have seen through this project, is that 1 million is not difficult to achieve. Because as I'm tapping into countries on the continent, they're just spreading the word.
Exactly.
And that is how we're going to get to a phase where we will be able to build our own digital African library on the continent.
Anthea, thank you so much for such a wonderful information. I really wish that God bless you, and add more as you continue to serve the people. Thank you so much for coming to us.
Thank you for having me, and keep on writing.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching On Writing with Onkarabile Mokoto, the show that is aiming to promote reading and writing in our communities. My name is Onkarabile Mokoto. Please subscribe to our channel, Nolu Unlimited Multimedia, and we thank you so much.